Many Magic the Gathering players ask the question, is it worth it to buy Chandra's signature spellbook? This year, it's Red's turn to shine. Or rather, everyone's second favorite Pyromancer to burn brightly, with a collection of 8 signature spells of the Planeswalker Chandra. As before, the signature spellbook contains a selection of singles reprinted for collectors and players alike, featuring unique Chandra-flavored frames and, on a few cards, new artwork as well. But is Red really able to get ahead of the previous hits of blue and white, or have spellbooks finally fizzled and fallen out of sight? Let's take a look. Signature spellbook Chandra contains the following: 8 red cards from throughout Magic's history, each in a special frame and featuring artwork of Chandra Nalaar. These cards are non-foil. However, each Chandra spell kit comes with a bonus 9th card, which takes the form of one of the previous 8 cards, but in premium foil. That means spellbooks have 9 cards total, 8 of them unique, and then one of those 8 again in foil. It's totally random which foil you get, and you still get all 8 in regular non-foil. Like all Magic the Gathering products, signature spellbooks Chandra do not publicly disclose an MSRP. However, the signature spellbook series began back when there was an MSRP. That MSRP was $19.99, and searching through market sales confirms that is indeed what the Chandra spellbook is going for. So this video will continue under the premise that these cost $19.99 as a baseline. As before, spellbooks are only available at your local game store. Let's begin by taking a preliminary financial look at the cards contained. The most valuable non-foil card in the collection is Chandra, Torch of Defiance, the spellbook version of which is running for $5.22. These numbers are as of launch day, and that number is a big cut from what it would have cost you to buy Chandra, Torch of Defiance in its non-spellbook edition. This is good in that we do want reprints to lower the price while increasing availability. However, we want to ensure that we are selecting for reprint cards that are in demand enough to have had too high of a price. And when this is the top card in the entire collection, well, compared to the top card in Gideon's signature spellbook last year, which was Path to Exile, the spellbook version of which was twice as much at $10.76 at the time of release. Still, I think Torch of Defiance is a fine inclusion, but moving down the list, it becomes clearly and quickly a disaster of duds. Only Fiery Confluence and Pyroblast have a value above $1 each. Again, we're talking the spellbook versions, which have brought down the non-spellbook version price. And the rest are worth not only under $1 each, but for most under 50 cents each. And to purchase the 8 cards in Chandra's spellbook in their spellbook non-foil version would cost you $9.92, which by itself is half the price of a signature spellbook, roughly. Again, compare that to last year, where Gideon's version added up to $32.51 with just the 8 non-foil cards. That's over 3 times more value, and it's no wonder when you look at the cards selected here. Chandra, Torch of Defiance, manages to return some value, as she's both a mythic and a planeswalker that sees some modern play in Gruul mid-range decks, and occasionally pioneer mono-red lists. But beyond that, it's a commander inclusion, and when that is the resume of the overwhelmingly most valuable card in the collection, you know it's mostly downhill. Young Pyromancer, Pyroblast, and Past in Flames all see play, but the problem is that Young Pyromancer is just an uncommon, and one that has been reprinted already numerous times. And it's also suffering from the fact that the once mainstay modern decks which featured it have all but fallen out of favor. Hey, you know why you support and keep Modern healthy and strong? Because then it means you have a lot of reprints worth a lot of money, which make for good inclusions in products like this, which makes the product sell more. You as a company can actually make money by Oh, never mind. Pyroblast is of course a Pauper staple, and I am extremely happy to see it here, helping in its own way to keep Pauper prices low, but that also means its price is low as well. Cathartic Reunion is currently in Standard. Not just in Standard, but it was in the most recent set prior to Core 2021. I understand that this individual card is highly associated with Chandra, although its reprinting with Dino Dan in the artwork shows it doesn't have to be about her. And at the end of the day, it's a 5-10 cent card before the reprint, because it just was reprinted in Standard. And yes, Cathartic Reunion is played in a variety of graveyard decks, notably Dredge and Modern, but to include the original art, and yes, I acknowledge the highly iconic nature of it, means that even Cathartic Reunion runners don't need a copy of this, because it has the same art. This is a problem that a lot of Magic reprint products like From the Vault classically had. They became a slave to the arbitrary theme. In this case, because it is a signature spellbook, Chandra, the mentality goes, oh, well, if it's Chandra, we have to have Cathartic Reunion. That card was so important to her story. Mom hug! Hug your mom. Meanwhile, every other factor points to this being a bad inclusion for a reprint product such as this. It's not an expensive card, it's not getting new art, it's been reprinted in the most recent Standard set with new art. When I look at all the red spells that got overlooked so that this could take up one of only 8 available slots to add to the deep and complex theme of stuff about Chandra, I feel almost as bad as when I look at this next card, Pyromancer Ascension. Elderly players such as myself might remember when, in the before times, when Modern was a healthy and diverse format, Pyromancer Ascension was a staple of what was called a Storm deck. And though in today's card economy it still sees some play in budget Storm and Gifts Storm builds, its main use is in the highly popular Magic Online format Penny Dreadful, whose name should convey to you its relative value. But this is Chandra's Spellbook, gotta have the Pyromancer Ascension of our second favorite Pyromancer, so there's another slot gone. Fiery Confluence is a Commander card. It was designed for Commander, first printed and then reprinted in Commander products, and now here it is taking up a slot. Okay, yes, this was a good candidate for reprinting. Price was high, now it's available and the price is low. But why not reprint it in one of the 5 Commander decks that we had earlier this year, or in one of the 4 Commander decks we are still going to have? Yeah, the card sees some legacy play, and again, it's a good pick for reprint. I just think its inclusion here is indicative of reprint problems elsewhere. Rite of Flame has never before been reprinted, but sadly, unlike other never before reprinted cards like my beloved Oubliette, why won't you reprint it, Wizards? Why? Rite of Flame wasn't that high a demand to begin with, despite seeing fringe legacy play, and mostly being a Commander toy. Still, as a never before reprinted card, this is an okay example of what can go in a few of the filler slots. And I'd much prefer this card reprinted than the Cathartic Reunions of the Magic world put in their place. But I would rather, in one of those filler slots, a card like, I don't know, Lightning Bolt be included. Yeah, I get it, Chandra doesn't cast lightning bolts, but you're looking at your priorities backwards. In one of the few filler slots where a non-expensive card should go, a card like Lightning Bolt, which is played in literally every format it's legal in, and despite endless reprintings, still has a price that keeps creeping back up, this is a good spot for that. Maybe Chandra tried casting it once, I don't know, she can do it, it's just 1 red mana, she's got skills. Now there is of course a 9th card included, and that is the random foil version of these 8. This does help the overall value of the product dramatically, depending on which one you pull. For example, Chandra Torch of Defiance, the Spellbook foil is currently selling for, wow, $19.73. Fiery Confluence, which I think you can't really get in foil elsewhere, $11.54. Pyroblast, another one that is nice in foil, $10.84. Hey, Pauper. Past in Flames, $5.26. At this point, if you're pulling Past in Flames or any of the other ones ones, you are not getting your money back on the Spellbook though. So Young Pyromancer, the foil version of which is $4.05, or Cathartic Reunion, the Spellbook version in foil is $3.43. Yeah, those aren't ones you want to see. Nor Pyromancer Ascension at $2.17, or Rite of Flame at a measly $1.88. So you have a less than 50% chance at breaking even, and even if you do hit the jackpot with a foil Chandra, well, that doesn't really raise the ceiling too high. Compared to Gideon and Jace's spellbooks, where you were all but guaranteed to always get your money's worth as a baseline, and then we're taking a gamble just to see if you paid off big or more or less broke even, well, that was a notable improvement over this, which is a notable downgrade. I will say this, at least they did something about the foiling. If you recall, the Gideon foils were so dull, to the point I could barely tell that it was a foil even when I had it in my hand. Here we've got, I don't want to say the same as the From the Vault method, but it's very similar if not the same. Really bright, got a little bit of that double rainbow quality to it, and yeah, it's curved. Not as bad as Secret Layers, the worst foils there are, assuming you get yours. But I'll take this slight curve and bright sparkly foil over the incredibly dull Gideon ones any day of the week. In terms of that artwork, color me unimpressed. Artwork, color me. Do you get it? Yeah, you get it. It's Chandra. Chandra here, Chandra there. She's mad and sometimes sad, but she burns fire. Now, Gideon's spellbook really dove deep into the character's ethos, not just in card selection, which was nicer than here, but in the powerfulness of the artwork, what it was representing of the character. These are just different versions of Chandra on fire. But when you compare this new Chandra art to, say, something like Rest in Peace, which is particularly resonant, or look at how the Gideon Spellbook 2 was the one where author Richard Kane Ferguson was called in to offer an alternate artwork to Black Blade Reforged, giving us top-notch flavor and design. Maybe it's a limitation of the character, a limitation made all the more resonant by the fact that one of the more deep and interesting aspects of Chandra's character was wiped clean, her relationship and the changes and realizations she had to make about herself due to that relationship with Nissa, all gone away with to appease the Chinese and Russian markets. Maybe this should have been signature spellbook Jaya, seeing as she has a lot more depth and history to dive into and to represent in the artwork.
I am not a one-note character.
So third time's the charm. Not always. In my interview with Gavin Verhey, he pointed out signature spellbooks need not always be monocolor. And I think this was a missed opportunity here to do just that, to maybe offer a multicolor spellbook to open up more possibilities of reprints instead of letting the fact that Chandra's name is on the box restrict the choices of card inclusions. The point of discontinuing from the vault, allegedly, was that the spellbooks could break free of self-restrictive natures. But we are just 3 iterations in, and we have a product more disappointing than some of the more disappointing from the vaults. I have an extra Chandra spellbook right here. Anyone want to trade me for a From the Vault Angels? Anyone? No? Oh. Final conclusion, signature spellbook Chandra is a weak financial value despite reprints of cards that see some play. It may be a limitation of red or of Chandra as the defining trait of the inclusions, but either way, purchasing this at $19.99 will leave you lucky to get your money back. Nonetheless, if you are a fan of Chandra or are just looking for several of these cards, this is not the worst possible way to spend your money. It's the weakest of the 3, but it's okay, especially if you like the frames, like the Chandra artwork, needed these cards anyway. So whereas both Jace and Gideon spellbooks got a B+ from me, I am afraid Chandra is a very low C, C-, depending very largely, again, on if you are looking for a Chandra-themed Pyroblast or Past in Flames in foil. But either way, I hope very much this video has been of some help to you, and you can help me out by remembering to like, especially by hitting subscribe, and especially by sharing with a friend, or just leave me a comment below. Hey, who would you like to see next year as the featured planeswalker of a signature spellbook, and what cards do you think are reasonable to reprint within? What planeswalker's spellbook would be filled with fetch lands? You are decked out in red, or we wouldn't know fire is your element of choice. Also, why are you wearing armor? Don't you think it's a little impractical to be decked out in chainmail and solid metal vambraces when you're almost always engulfed in flames?
It's for protection.
You get hit with a lot of swords, do you? While you're shooting fireballs from 50 feet away?
Look, I didn't steal my character from Jaya Ballard. I'm just paying her homage.
Homage.
Uh-huh.